जा पास शा बना रे cholinergic receptors. What are cholinergic receptors? First of all, what are cholinergic receptors? These are the receptors which show responses to acetyl, choline, nicotine and muscarine. Right, these are the receptors which are basically shows responses to acetylcholine and other substances which are look like acetylcholine. Right, so cholinergic where cholinergic receptors are present, they are present on cholinergic neurons and cholinergic effector sites. Right, so we have cholinergic receptors. How many types of cholinergic receptors? Two types. One is nicotinic receptors and one are muscarinic receptors. These nicotinic receptors are basically 4 to 5 pass receptors, and you know what are 4 to 5 pass receptor. They are ligand binded ions channels, right? These nicotinic receptors are respond to acetylcholine. It can respond to acetylcholine or nicotine and present in two sites, and on these sites we have divided these nicotinic receptors into two types. One are called N receptors, N receptors, and one are called M receptors. N receptors and M receptors. N receptors are present in central nervous system and in ganglia. They are present in CNS and ganglia. Mean, what is N receptor? This is neuroreceptor. For example, I have this neurons and this is axon, right? And these are axon terminals, and we have one terminal here, for example this, right? And it makes synapse with another neuron. For example, we have this neuron. This is presynaptic neuron. Presynaptic neuron, and this is post synaptic neuron. And the receptors, the 4 to 5 pass receptors are, for example, present here. Nicotinic receptors. These receptors are called N receptor. Why? Because it is present between two neurons. This is neuro junction, right? And what are NM receptors? NM receptors are present in neuromuscular junction, right? For example, this is the neuron, and here I have muscle, and this is the terminal, and we have, for example, here a nicotinic receptor. These receptors are called NM receptor because they are present in neuromuscular junction, right? These are the 4 to 5 pass receptor, mean they are ligand binded ions channels, right? I have discussed the mechanism that they have inhibin protein. When ligand is attached to the ligand binding site, the inhibin protein opens and the sodium rushed into the cell, right? Now the muscarinic receptor. Muscarinic receptors are 7 pass receptor, or these are also known as G protein coupled receptors. I have discussed in detail the mechanism of muscarinic receptors, but muscarinic receptors further have how many types? 5. We have M1 receptor, M2 receptor, M3 receptor, M4 and M5 receptor, right? M1 receptor is stimulatory receptor, M2 receptor is inhibitory receptor, M3 receptor is muscarinic stimulatory receptor, M4 is inhibitory and 5 is stimulatory, right? This M2 receptor, for example, these 3 receptors are very common in muscarinic receptors, right? Like 7 pass receptor, which is most common, and 40 to 50% of drugs respond to 7 pass receptor, which are very common, are M1, M2 and M3 receptor. For example, these, I have this is muscarinic receptor and it have 3 ports, right? For example, this is first one. Here I have M1 receptor, right? This is the second, and I have M2 receptor, and here this third I have M3 receptor, right? So M1 receptor is, it is above, so it is stimulatory. It is below, mean that it lowering down the activities, it is inhibitory, and it is stimulatory. And if we make another M here, like this, we have M4 receptor, it is below, it means this is inhibitory, and this is M5, it is stimulatory, right? What are the locations of these receptors? 7 pass receptors. Surface of the cell. What are the location in body? Spinal cord, brain, heart. Now listen. M1 receptor are present in, one point is from M1 to M5, they all are present in CNS. In CNS, all the M1, M2, M3, M4, M5 receptors are present in CNS. M1 receptor, they are present first in CNS, they are present in salivary glands, they are present in excretory, other excretory glands, etc. Right? M2 receptors are basically present in CNS because all M5 receptors are present in CNS, but specifically these receptors are present on heart. The location of M2 receptors are heart, and I have told you that these receptors are working as GQ, which is stimulatory, GQ proteins. This is GI, this is inhibitory. This is GQ, this is GI, and this M5 is working on GS, and this M1 receptor is also working as GS receptor, right? So the M2 and M4 are GI protein coupled receptor, and these are GQ protein coupled receptor. These are GQ and GS protein coupled receptors, and these are GS protein coupled receptors, stimulation, right? So M2 receptors are basically present on heart, right? M3 receptors M3 receptors are present first in CNS, endocrine glands and epithelium. Smooth muscle, epithelium is smooth muscle, right? These are present in, and M4 and 5 are uncommon, they are present in CNS also, and they are present on basically on exocrine glands. Exocrine glands, right? So these are the location, and what is the mechanism behind this heaven pass receptor? I have discussed and detailed that it will activate the GS protein. The GS protein will activate the adenylate cyclase. Adenylate cyclase will convert the ATP into CMP. CMP will activate the phosphokinase A enzyme, and phosphokinase A will phosphorylate a lot of things in cell and will bring biological responses. These are the cholinergic receptors. Now, after this lecture, in coming class, we will discuss the cholinergic agonist drugs, which is the basic pharmacology, right? And